When you're feeling discouraged and disappointed, watch this video, Finding Peace Through Prayer, the Journey to God, when life pushes us into the darkness. Life is not always filled with sunny days and laughter. There are times when we feel swept into a storm, where everything becomes heavy and unclear. Disappointment and frustration are emotions that everyone has experienced, whether little or much. It's like a dark cloud coming in, blocking the light we once hoped for. Imagine you've just had a long day at school or work. You've tried your best to complete an important test or project, but the results are not what you expected. You sit there, looking at the computer screen or the blank paper, feeling burdened by the sense of failure. Have you ever asked yourself, am I doing something wrong? Why is everything so difficult? These questions keep repeating in your mind, making you feel trapped in a vortex with no way out. I once heard a story from a young office worker who was diligent in his job, but one day he was severely criticized by his boss for a small mistake in a report. This caused him to lose sleep for a week, blaming himself and gradually feeling discouraged with a job he once loved. He told me that it felt like the whole world had turned its back on him, and every day at work was a day filled with pressure. Such moments are not unfamiliar. No matter who you are, how old you are, or what you do, disappointment and frustration can come like an uninvited guest. But the good news is, we don't have to face it alone. A lone light in the dark. When life becomes overwhelming, we often seek a place to lean on, a light to guide us. Some people turn to music, others to friends to confide in, but many choose to turn to God through prayer. Prayer is not just a religious ritual, but also a journey to find peace in the soul. Think of prayer as sitting down with your best friend, someone who always listens without judgment. You can tell God everything, from small woes like a rainy day soaking your favorite shoes, to the heavy burdens like worries about the future. The miracle is that when you open your heart, you will feel like a gentle breeze blows through, soothing the wounds in your soul. I remember the story of a single mother. She once told me that when her son was seriously ill, she felt so helpless that she could only cry alone in her room. One night, not knowing what else to do, she knelt down and prayed. She didn't ask for a miracle. She simply asked God to give her the strength to overcome. What was strange was that, after praying, she felt lighter, as though someone was holding her hand and saying, "Everything will be okay." Her son gradually recovered, and she believed that prayer helped her find hope in the storm. Prayer as the bridge to peace. Prayer doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need flowery words or a solemn space. All you need is a small corner in your room, a moment of stillness, and a heart ready to open up. That's when you begin your journey toward God, a place where you can find peace that nowhere else can offer. Imagine you're sitting by the window, looking at the night sky filled with stars. You close your eyes and whisper, "Lord, I'm so tired. I don't know what to do with all this pressure. Please help me." Just a few simple words like that, and you'll feel your heart being cleansed. It's not a magic spell that makes everything disappear instantly, but the feeling of being heard, being loved, and being reminded that you are not alone. Another story is that of a long-distance truck driver. He often had to be away from his family, and each trip was a time when he faced loneliness. He told me that every night, when his truck rested by the road, he would pray. He would ask God to take care of his family back home and give him the strength to continue his work. "I'm not good at saying beautiful words," he laughed and said, "but every time I pray, I sleep better, and the next morning, I have more motivation to drive." Prayer is the bridge that connects you and God. It not only helps you share your burdens, but also opens a door for you to feel His presence, a presence that brings peace in the midst of life's storms. When prayer becomes strength. There are times when we think that prayer is only a way to ask, to hope that God will solve our problems. But the truth is, prayer can do much more than that. It is a source of strength that helps us stand up, face difficulties, and believe that there is always a way out, even when things seem hopeless. Imagine standing in front of a towering mountain. That is the image of life's challenges. You feel too small to overcome it. But when you pray, it's like you're given wings. The mountain doesn't disappear, but you gain the courage to climb it step by step. I once met a saleswoman. She told me that at one point her family was in debt so much that she thought she couldn't continue. Every day she sold goods while praying quietly in her heart, "Lord, please give me enough strength to support my children's education." She wasn't asking for wealth, just for a peaceful day. The miracle was that every time she prayed, she found a new idea. Each day she sold more goods. Gradually, she paid off the debt, and she believed that prayer had given her the strength to keep going. The power of prayer lies not in changing circumstances, but in changing yourself. It helps you see the light in the darkness and believe that no matter how hard today is, tomorrow will still be a new beginning. Peace comes from trust. One of the greatest gifts that prayer brings is peace in the soul. But to receive that gift, you need one important thing: trust. Trust that God always listens. Trust that He has a plan for you, even when you don't understand it. Think of a child holding their parent's hand while crossing a busy street. The child doesn't need to know where they are going. They just trust that their parents will lead them in the right direction. Prayer is like that. When you put your trust in God, you'll feel your heart soften, as if all your worries vanish. I remember the story of a retired man. He told me that when he discovered he had a serious illness, he was terrified. But instead of sinking into despair, he chose to pray every day. He said, "I don't ask to be healed. I just ask God to give me peace to live my remaining days well." The miracle was, even though the illness remained, he always wore a smile on his face. He said that through prayer, he learned to accept and live joyfully. Peace is not when all problems disappear, but when you know you are not alone. When you trust and pray, you will feel God's companionship, and that is the greatest comfort. Start your own journey. If you're reading this and feeling weighed down, take a moment to pray. It doesn't need to be elaborate. Just say what's on your mind. It could be a thank you for getting through a tough day or a plea for strength for tomorrow. Sit down, close your eyes, and whisper, "Lord, I need you." You'll be surprised to feel your heart being soothed. No matter how chaotic life gets, prayer will be the beacon that leads you back to a peaceful shore. You don't have to be strong on your own, because God is always there, ready to listen and walk alongside you. Start your journey of prayer today, and let peace come into your life like a refreshing breeze. Prayer, a remedy for the soul. Modern life can sometimes make us feel like we're running on an endless treadmill. Work, family, relationships all bring joy, but they also come with burdens. In those moments, prayer becomes a gentle remedy, helping us restore balance and peace within our hearts. When you speak to God, something magical happens. Your worries seem lighter. Imagine you're carrying a backpack full of stones, each stone representing a fear or pressure. Prayer is like setting down that backpack and entrusting it to a greater, stronger friend, God. You no longer have to bear it all on your own. I once met a woman, a kindergarten teacher. She shared that there were days when the children were too mischievous, and she returned home with a headache and a weary heart. One time she sat down, closed her eyes, and prayed, "God, I'm exhausted. Please give me some peace." Within a few minutes, she felt a cool breeze of relief, easing all her tension. She said that from then on, whenever she felt tired, she would pray, and each time her heart felt lighter. Prayer is not just a simple act. It is a way to release the mind, letting the waves in your heart gradually subside, making room for stillness. Reducing stress through talking to God. One of the greatest benefits of prayer is its ability to help us cope with stress. Life is not always easy. Sometimes it's an unexpected bill, an argument with a loved one, or simply a sense of emptiness with no clear reason. But when you pray, you'll find that these burdens seem to be shared. Scientists agree with this. They have found that people who pray regularly tend to experience less anxiety. It's not because prayer makes all problems disappear, but because it helps you change your perspective on them. When you offer up your sadness to God, you feel like someone is listening, and that alone can make your heart feel lighter. Think about the story of a driver I once heard about. He was a ride-sharing driver. He shared that there were days when customers were difficult. The streets were crowded, and he just wanted to give up. But every time he stopped to rest, he closed his eyes and prayed quietly, "God, please give me calmness to continue today." He said that just a few simple words like that were enough to give him the strength to keep going for a few more rides. Prayer doesn't change the road, but it changes the way he walks on it. When you pray, you're not just talking to God, you're also reminding yourself that everything will pass. It's a spiritual remedy that helps you through even the darkest days. Faith nurtured through prayer. Prayer doesn't only soothe the soul, it's also a way to build and strengthen your belief in something greater than yourself. When you talk to God, you begin to believe that no matter how difficult life gets, you are not facing it alone. That faith is like an anchor, keeping you grounded amidst the fiercest storms. Imagine you're standing before a deep river, unsure of how to cross to the other side. Prayer is the invisible bridge that makes you feel safe as you walk. You trust that God is there, listening and guiding you, even when you cannot see the destination. I remember a story of a small vegetable vendor. She shared that there was a long rainy season, and all her vegetables got ruined, leaving her with little money to buy new stock. In her despair, she sat down and prayed, "God, I don't know what to do, but I trust that you will show me the way." The next day, a friend unexpectedly lent her a small sum to help her through the tough time. She smiled and said, "I believe that prayer helped me keep hope alive, and God sent someone to help me." Faith doesn't come immediately, but through each prayer, you'll see it grow like a plant being watered every day. And when that faith becomes strong enough, you'll feel empowered to face any challenge. How to make prayer a daily habit. For prayer to bring long-lasting benefits, you need to make it a part of your everyday life. This isn't as hard as you might think. With a little patience and just a small amount of time each day, prayer will become your trusted companion. Start simply. Every morning when you wake up, instead of rushing to grab your phone and scroll through news, take a few minutes to pray. Sit on your bed, take a deep breath, and speak to God about how you feel. It might be a simple thank you for waking up to a new day, or a request for strength to face what's ahead. You could try this, like the banker I once heard about. She shared that every morning, before leaving the house, she would sit in a small corner of the living room and pray, "God, thank you for today, and please give me patience with the customers and clarity in my work." She said this habit helped her start her day with a positive attitude, and no matter how busy the workday was, she always maintained her composure. It doesn't need to be long or complicated. Just a few minutes each day, and you'll find that prayer becomes the key that opens the door to peace. Praying during special moments. In addition to daily prayer, you can also make special moments in life opportunities to draw closer to God. This might be when you achieve a success or face a great sorrow. Praying during these times not only helps you connect with God, but it also makes your emotions more meaningful. Imagine you just received good news. For instance, you were promoted after much effort. Instead of just celebrating with friends, take a moment to pray. God, thank you for giving me this opportunity. That will make your joy more complete. I once heard a mechanic tell the story of how he nearly lost his job when his shop closed down. During his worry, he prayed every night, God, please show me a way. A week later, he was introduced to another shop where the work was even better than before. He said, praying during difficult times helped me keep my hope, and I believe God heard me. Whether in joy or sorrow, prayer helps you experience life more deeply and always reminds you that a great friend is walking alongside you. A journey to peace prayer isn't a magic fix, but it's a journey that brings you closer to peace and hope. Each word you speak to God is a small step on that path, and when you persist, you'll see your life change in ways you never expected. Start today. Find a quiet corner in your home, grab a warm cup of tea, and talk to God as you would a friend. You might say, God, today I feel sad. Please be with me. You'll feel lighter, as though an invisible hand is comforting you. I hope that through this article, you'll see that prayer is not just a habit, but a gift. It brings peace, nurtures faith, and helps you walk more confidently on life's journey. Let prayer accompany you, and you'll never feel alone. God always listens to us. Have you ever felt that in difficult moments, no one truly understands your heart? Perhaps you've sat alone, quietly sharing your deepest thoughts, wondering if anyone could hear you. The good news is, God always listens to you. He doesn't need you to shout or use fancy words. All you need to do is open your heart, speak your thoughts, and He is there, silently listening to every word you say. Imagine you're sitting by the river, the breeze gently blowing, and you softly say, God, I am so tired, I don't know what to do. You don't hear an immediate answer, but the miracle is, He never overlooks your words. Maybe that day, you meet a stranger who smiles at you on the street, and that smile lightens your heart. Or perhaps you turn on the radio and coincidentally hear a song that perfectly matches your mood, as if it was written just for you. This is how God shows you that He is by your side. I have a friend who once shared with me that he prayed a lot when he faced difficulties at work. He didn't expect a big miracle, just wanted to find a bit of hope. Then one day, while walking, he bumped into an old colleague who casually mentioned a new job opportunity. In the end, he overcame that tough period. He told me, I believe that was God's answer. Sometimes it's the small things in life that show God is always listening. God's presence is not always obvious. Have you ever wondered, if God listens, why doesn't He answer right away? It's true that sometimes we expect a clear answer immediately, like a text message. But God's presence often comes gently and gradually, like the morning sun slowly spreading across the room. Imagine a winter morning when you wake up to the sharp cold. At first, you see only the fog outside the window, but little by little, the sunlight breaks through, making everything clearer. God's presence is like that. He doesn't always appear in grand ways like thunder or a booming voice. Instead, He comes through small, meaningful moments. For example, there was a time when I felt very sad after a relationship ended. I prayed, but nothing seemed to change immediately. Then, one afternoon, while sitting in the park, I saw a small bird hopping on the grass. I smiled, and suddenly my heart felt lighter. A few days later, I received a message from an old friend inviting me for coffee. That conversation helped me forget my sadness. I realized that, even though I couldn't see it right away, God was working in my life, step by step. So if you're waiting for an answer from Him, be patient. Maybe He's already arranging something good that you haven't seen yet. Pay attention around you. An unexpected piece of advice, a new opportunity, or just a sense of peace in your heart. All of these could be God's way of saying, I am here. Prayer brings small miracles. Prayer is not just talking to God, it's also a way for us to open our hearts to receive the miracles in life. You don't have to ask for something huge like winning the lottery or becoming famous. Sometimes a simple prayer is enough to change your day. Imagine you're anxious about an upcoming exam. You sit down, close your eyes, and whisper, God, I'm so scared. Please help me stay calm. Then the next day, when you walk into the exam room, you suddenly remember a formula that you thought you had forgotten. Or perhaps the teacher unexpectedly gives you more time to finish the test. That's not a grand miracle, but small things like this can make you smile and feel His care. I remember a neighbor of mine once shared that she prayed when her son was seriously ill. She didn't know what to do, so she just asked God for help. The next morning, a friend called her and recommended a good doctor. The child received timely treatment and recovered. She said to me, I can't be sure it was a miracle, but I believe God sent that person at the right moment. Small miracles like that happen more often than we think, as long as we pay attention. So, don't hesitate to pray, even if your problem seems small. A sincere prayer can bring about positive changes you never expected. Believe that every time you talk to God, He listens and responds in His own way. Praying with others. The power of connection. Prayer doesn't always have to be something you do alone in your room. When you pray with family, friends, or a community, it's like everyone joining hands to form a warm circle. The power of faith is multiplied, and you'll feel that you are no longer alone. Imagine one evening, sitting around the dinner table with your family. Instead of just eating and chatting, everyone bows their heads, thanking God for the day that's passed and praying for good things tomorrow. Just a few minutes, but the sense of closeness and peace spreads in everyone's heart. I once joined a prayer group in my neighborhood. Every week we would meet and share our struggles, then pray for help from God. One time, a man in the group shared that he was worried because his company was about to lay off employees. We all prayed for him. A week later, he happily shared that not only did he keep his job, but he was also given a new project to work on. He said, I could feel the strength of everyone's prayers. Moments like these truly bring joy and hope. You can also try organizing a small prayer session with your loved ones. It doesn't need to be formal, just a comfortable space, a few words of sharing, and sincere prayers. You will find that when everyone is united in prayer, sorrow seems to vanish, replaced by comfort and encouragement from one another. When life becomes overwhelming, life is not always easy. There are days when you wake up feeling discouraged, as if everything is against you. Work is not going well, there are conflicts in the family, or perhaps you simply feel lost. In these moments, prayer is the lifeline that helps you overcome. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm, rain and wind howling, and you don't know where to go. Then you find a small, peaceful corner, sit down, and whisper to God. Even though the storm outside hasn't stopped, a sense of calm begins to fill your heart. That is the power of prayer. It doesn't always change the circumstances, but it changes the way you face them. I remember once a friend of my mother's told me that she fell into despair when her husband passed away. She felt like life lost all meaning. But every night she prayed, not asking for anything great, just to find some peace. Gradually, she began to participate in charity activities, helping those who were worse off than her. She said, "Prayer helped me find light in the darkness." Now she lives more happily and always encourages others to turn to God in times of difficulty. Life is a long journey with sunny days and stormy days, but no matter what, you are never alone. God is always there, listening to every word you say, every heartache you share. Each prayer, whether short or long, has value and brings about positive change in ways you might not immediately recognize. Try spending a few minutes every day in prayer. You don't have to ask for something big. Just thank Him for the little things. A good meal, a peaceful sleep, or a smile from a loved one. And when you need it, pray with those around you so that faith can spread and multiply. I believe that as long as you hold on to your faith and open your heart, you will always find peace in life. So when life feels too heavy, don't carry the burden alone. Talk to God, share everything with Him. He won't judge, He won't scold. He will only listen and give you the strength to keep going. The journey to find peace through prayer. Life is like a long book with chapters of joy and sorrow intertwined. There are days when you feel like you're walking on a flower-filled field under the warm sunshine. But there are also days when you're lost in the cold darkness, not knowing where to turn. In all of those moments, prayer is the light that illuminates the way, the connection that brings you closer to God, the one who always listens and walks with you. No matter where you are, no matter how heavy your heart feels, trust that every prayer is a small seed sown in the soil of life, and it will bloom in the most beautiful way. Prayer, the key to unlocking hope. Have you ever thought that a small, quiet word could bring such great strength? Prayer is not magic that turns every wish into reality in an instant, nor is it a way to erase all difficulties right away. But it is like a cool breeze passing through your soul, soothing wounds and bringing hope when you think you've given up. I once heard the story of a woman who lived in a poor, rural area. She lost her beloved father in an accident, and since then her life seemed to fall into darkness. She said there were nights when she sat by the window, tears falling, not knowing what to do to overcome the pain. Then one day, she started praying. Not long-winded prayers, just a simple, "God, give me some strength to live on." The miracle was, from that day on, she began to feel the change. A neighbor brought her a basket of fresh vegetables. A child in the neighborhood ran up and hugged her, smiling brightly. Those small things were like rays of light, helping her slowly rediscover joy. She said to me, "Prayer didn't bring my father back, but it helped me find a reason to move forward." That's the power of prayer. It doesn't change the world, but it changes how you see the world. So, when life becomes too difficult, don't hesitate to turn to God. Tell Him what you think, whether it's joy or sorrow, hope or despair. He doesn't need you to be perfect. He doesn't need you to be strong all the time. All He needs is your sincerity, and He will listen and send you small but meaningful gifts as a reminder that you are never alone. The power of shared faith prayer is not only a personal journey, but also a way to connect with those around you. When you, your family, friends, or community focus your hearts toward God, it is like everyone contributing small candles to create a large flame, warming and lighting each other's path. Faith is not only kept in your heart, but spreads and grows, becoming a source of encouragement for everyone. Imagine a rainy afternoon, sitting with your loved ones in the living room. Outside, the cold wind blows, but inside the small room, everyone bows their heads, shares stories and prays. Perhaps your father asks God for good health for the whole family, Your younger sibling prays for a successful exam, and you thank God for a peaceful day. Just a few minutes, but that feeling of warmth and closeness will stay in your heart for a long time. That's the power of connection through prayer. It not only brings you closer to God, but also brings you closer to those you love. I once witnessed this at a prayer gathering in my village. A family in our neighborhood was facing difficulties after their house was damaged by a storm. The whole village gathered together, not just to help fix the house, but also to pray together. Everyone held hands, asking God to bless and give strength to that family. As a result, not only was the house repaired, but that family also felt the love and support from the community. They said that it was those prayers that helped them overcome fear and find faith. When we pray together, the strength of faith doesn't stop at one person, but it spreads to the whole community. Opening your heart to receive good things. Life sometimes makes us forget that, besides the challenges, there are always good things waiting for us. Prayer is not only a way to talk to God, but also a way to open your heart so that your soul is ready to receive the blessings He sends. Perhaps it's a sunny day after a series of rainy days, a phone call from a friend you haven't heard from in a while, or simply the feeling of peace when sipping a hot cup of tea. Try taking a moment every day to pray and reflect. In the morning, when you first wake up, you can whisper, "God, thank you for this new day." In the evening, before going to bed, you can say, "Please protect me and those I love." Those simple prayers not only help you connect with God, but also remind you to cherish the little things in life. And when you open your heart, you will see that blessings are not always something grand, but often the simple moments full of meaning. For example, once I prayed asking God to help me stay calm before an important meeting. I wasn't expecting much, just hoping my heart would feel lighter. Then that morning, while walking to work, I saw a little dog running happily by the roadside, tail wagging. I couldn't help but laugh, and all my worries seemed to vanish. The meeting went smoothly, and I believe that was God's answer, not through a big miracle, but through a small joy that changed my mood, a blessing for your journey. Finally, I want to send you a heartfelt wish. May you always find peace in every step you take. Whether life brings sunny days or stormy weather, remember that you are never alone. God is always there, listening to you, walking with you, and blessing you in His own way. Every prayer you utter, no matter how small, is a gift you give to yourself, a gift of faith, hope, and love. Try starting today. Find a quiet corner, close your eyes, and talk to God. Share with Him your joys, your sorrows, your dreams. Then open your heart and notice the things around you, a smile, a kind word, or a peaceful moment. That's how God answers you. And if possible, invite your loved ones to pray together, so that your faith isn't just a fleeting breeze, but a flame that warms your heart and those around you. I wish you strength, happiness, and may you always feel the love of God in every moment of your life. Hold on to your faith, because your journey is long, and every step is a beautiful story waiting for you to write.